that intro. Rip it, Bart.
Let's do the intro. All right. Hey, guys. Welcome to the next installation of the Minnoxide podcast. Well, we got Eric here. If some of you might remember him, he was the title sponsor of Whiplash Rally when that was a thing. But nonetheless, we got him back here for the Minnoxide podcast because he's a blast to talk to. So, Eric, say hi to the people.
Hello, people.
All right, all 6 people have acknowledged you. So,
Yes.
I guess
Our fan base.
you're the JDM guy, right? Kinda like you've always
I'm an everything guy.
You're an everything guy. So kind of like we talked about on the Whiplash podcast, you spent the majority of your life in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Or
if I had to pick one, it would be JDM, right?
It would be
if I had
JDM.
to live with one for life.
right.
Yeah.
So then, I guess first off, because not many people know, how did you end up in Japan?
My mom was a Department of Defense employee.
Okay, and then you basically spent some time in school, going back and forth, just kind of all over the place. I'm guessing.
Born in Germany, raised in Japan. For the most part, not going back and forth. Just when I got older, then I came and went. You know?
Okay. Okay. What's the age to get your license over there?
Normal age, I think, for Japanese citizens is 20.
Holy shit! Really?
Maybe 18.
Okay.
I just know when you're an American over there, you can't drive off the base till you're 18.
Okay.
And you drive on the base when you're 16.
Okay.
So you can like get your license and then be confined to just
Kind of like a farmer's license here. Like you can
Yeah,
drive a tractor or whatever. Yeah.
Except for
Okay.
you actually get to drive a real car.
Okay.
Like a tractor.
What was your first car over there?
My first car was a Mazda hatchback. So at least it was a hatchback. But it wasn't much cooler than that. It would have been a 323 over here. But over there, Familia.
Familia? What do you mean by that?
That's what it was. It was called a Mazda Familia.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Mazda
Wait, how many
family.
seats did it have?
And it's a hatchback, you know.
It's like
normal
5?
2 front and, 2.5 back, right?
2.5. Okay.
It was black.
Okay.
Automatic, and I power shifted it until I destroyed the transmission, and it didn't have reverse in it anymore. And everywhere I went on the base, or anywhere for that matter, I'd always have to remember that I have to leave going forward. If you ever lost reverse in a car, it's a different challenge.
I could see that happen. That'd be trouble.
Like you pull into a parking spot, you can't just pull into a normal parking spot, right?
Right.
And if you do accidentally pull into a parking spot where you have to go forward, now you're hopping the curb and making a U-turn and turning around.
Sounds like shit I did with the Jeep, dude. So what was your first... I'm sure you had fun in that thing, but...
No.
No? What was your first fun car then? Was it in Japan or in the States?
It was in the States.
It was in the States? Okay, so what was that?
I mean, you can have fun in any car.
Yeah.
Not to.
Rental Rocket,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
The
how I
fastest
treated
car
that.
is a
That's how
rental.
I treated the hatchback. Yeah.
Okay.
It would have been my next car. I think would have been my more fun car because I got to pick it.
Okay.
Okay. And that was a '73 240Z Datsun,
Okay.
and that was in Washington State, and it was $1,000. And I remember I had to buy it for $500, and I told the guy like, I'll send you $100 a month to pay it off, because I was broke. And when you're broke, you don't buy a 1973 Datsun, because then you just end up more broke.
You can chime in at any point, by the way. Like, I'm just leading the way.
Yeah, Sean, what was your first car, Sean? Not that all 6 people have not heard this before, but
What? No, it was a Saab 97X.
This is
SUV.
news to me.
a wagon?
No, SUV.
Oh, the SUV.
Yeah, so it was basically a Chevy Trailblazer, but with
Yeah,
the Saab
I'm familiar.
badging. Yeah, it had the V8 in it. I think it was the 5.3 liter V8, automatic, super fun for a 16-year-old kid to be whipping around.
Did you pick it?
No,
Or
it was
were
a
you like-
it was a hand-me-down.
It was a hand-me-down, yeah. Mine was so my hatchback was free, but it was broken. Didn't start. And in Japan, you have to pay to get rid of cars. To recycle them, you have to pay to get them thrown away.
Okay.
So basically, the lady that gave it to me, because it was free, was like, "Hey, it's free. You fix it." If you don't fix it, you got to pay to get rid of it. She already had new alternator, new battery, new starter. It was a fuse.
It's always a fuse.
It was a fuse, $3. Popped it in and had myself a free hatchback.
That's a win.
It was a win.
That's a win.
But I resented it because I wanted a Sylvia, you know? I mean, who does?
Right, because that's everything that's over there, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, did you spend much time in the car scene in Japan?
In my tiny little car scene, yes, but it's different. I was in northern Japan,
Okay.
so it's like all rice paddies and apple orchards, right?
Right. So would that be kind of comparative to like the truck scene here?
Yeah, it'd be like it being in the car scene here.
Right.
Like this isn't LA. This isn't Miami.
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't the metro. You're not gonna have Lamborghinis pulling. Well, I mean we do.
Oh, so kind of like the suburbs here. Well, granted, we picked the wrong suburb, but
Imagine being in northern Minnesota. That would
Okay.
probably be a better equivalent. Imagine going to a car meet in Duluth.
okay.
All right, maybe not even Duluth. International Falls.
I dig it. So then you went from the Datsun, and then you kind of did a bunch of things in the last
I mean,
15
it was life.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
you had a very adventurous life. Let's put it that way. How do we get from old, somewhat shitty Datsun to what you're currently driving, which is a 570S McLaren? Like, fill in the gaps for me. So what have you done from then, and at which point did you kind of...
How many podcasts are we doing?
We could do a lot of them.
Oh no, I'm saying because you that's a loaded, heavy question.
It
You know,
is a
that's a
very-
lot of cars.
Yeah.
I'm on like car 35, 36, and you're asking me my first one.
Right. Okay. How do I put this down? Give me the speed run. And if you forget some, it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Speed run is life. Don't like working for other people. Start your own business.
Okay.
Make enough money and buy whatever the hell you want.
Podcast over. I think
Podcast
honestly,
over, yeah.
honestly, I think that's
There was, you know what's funny about that question though, right? To kind of answer it in a way,
Right.
is I'm on the McLaren forum on the old Book of Faces,
right.
and somebody asked, the people always ask on that forum all the time, like, oh, hey, what do you guys do for a living to have these cars? It's like a real common question by people
Right.
that are in the enthusiast group, right? But just want to know, like, how do you get there, right? And I replied to a guy recently, and I said, find something that you're really passionate about, right? That makes money.
Okay.
And then put all your passion into it. And I in my heart of hearts, 9 times out of 10, at least, I think you'll end up making a lot of money because you're passionate about what you're doing. And if you don't make a lot of money, you'll still enjoy it because you're passionate about it. And you chose something that you're passionate about to make it your life's work. So win-win, right?
Right.
Like if you don't get what you want as far as a material item, you'll still enjoy what you do for a living.
Do you enjoy what you do for a living?
Yes.
You enjoy
because it
roofing.
allows me to a McLaren.
Okay, that works out. That works
So it's
out.
the ends to a means, right? I don't think anybody like.
Yeah. So what do you exactly do? You're a roofer, but not just like you don't actually do the work, do you?
What do you mean by that?
Well,
I mean, I show up.
You're obviously you started the business, so are you a one-man operation or do you have a team?
I mean, I have a team of roofers. I would consider myself a contractor and not really a roofer. There's a lot of people that in this industry that call themselves roofers, but really, if you really dive down into it, they're either a contractor, they're a salesperson, they're a project manager. They have a different. It's real easy, like off the cuff, like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a roofer. It just means you're in the roofing industry.
Dude, the way he asked you that, it's like, so what do you do? I'm a Powerball winner. I don't do anything. Like, that's the way he made it seem. No, I get the question,
how
though.
long have you been roofing?
I think we're going on 5 years now.
Oh, so wait, so when you started your business or like?
Yeah, when we started the business, yeah.
Oh, okay, but
Yeah.
before
I started the
that,
business.
were you roofing before you started your business?
I worked for another contractor before that for about a year. And I just saw a lot of shortcomings.
Right. Okay, so you learned like the ins and outs of the business, and you're like,
Yeah.
I can do this.
And I've been in the industry even before that. I've been in the industry for, 12 years. I worked for manufacturers. And was in a sales role in that capacity.
Right. So you have a background.
And I know how to build things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when your mindset is set on like how things get put together and get taken apart, it makes it a little bit easier, right? When you're explaining to a client, like, hey, this is what we're gonna do, and people, because they just want to be informed on what you're gonna do on their home, right? And if you can articulate that really well,
You're very good at that.
They feel comfortable.
Yeah. I think, and honestly, because I remember when I first like brought it up to my parents, like, hey, I have a friend that's a roofer, because they were looking for like to do siding or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hold on, let me ask my buddy Eric, and they're like, you know, whatever, you know, they probably think
whatever, Harris. What crackhead friend do you have that does siding?
Which is justified, right? But I think they finally, you were kind of like that, the linchpin, right? Where they were like, oh, he actually has actual like real connections with successful people. They're like, oh, people that know what they're doing, because
he actually knows how to make homes look like homes.
well, the way you came in, like when you articulated, and this is probably one of the biggest skills that anybody on this planet can have, is being able to articulate something, find something that somebody has no clue about or very little understanding of, and explain it in a way to where they can tell their friends and sound like a professional, right? Because like you educated me on roofs so fucking well that I can just sell for you. I love how you're checking Sean's water.
You know, I don't know if it's water or whiskey. You know?
Yeah, well, maybe not this episode. Next time, though.
I've seen the bottles around here. So.
Yeah, I know, right? So that said, though, is like if I could tell anybody one skill that matters more than anything on this planet, it has to be sales of some sort of way, and being able to. And
the skill. So you want to say the skill set of sales is the most important?
Right, and articulation. I guess that particular skill within sales is being clear and articulate and not rambling on like I do half the time. But
yeah,
you were doing that this whole time?
I basically just kept spinning it and then eventually came it apart. I wouldn't actually give any credit to my skills on that.
Oh, okay. So this entire time, Eric's been playing with one of those little metal puzzles where you got to unhinge them. And he finally just got it. So everyone give Eric a round of applause.
Thank you. I think it's actually more difficult to probably put it back together.
That's what I was going to say. The next part of the challenge, even harder, is putting it back together.
It's like watching a fucking middle schooler with a fidget spinner.
It is, right? This is an adult fidget
I don't think
spinner.
you understand how entertaining this is to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
All
only we had video.
So we kind of bounced all over the place. Rightfully so.
Right.
So we went cars to communication to that's what you should do is sales. Everybody should do sales. And
No, this is how our conversation's going. This is the first time Sean's witnessed you and I talk together.
Oh,
I think.
man.
What are you talking about? I've seen you guys at car shows all the time.
But you haven't seen us like rant like this before.
You mean it's the first time he's been amongst us in a podcast?
I've talked to Eric before. All he does is rant.
This is literally I'm like the rant king.
Yeah, I mean,
It's right next to the rat king.
me and Eric can talk for hours. So that's kind of why I was like, all right, this is gonna be a great guest. I don't know. I mean, you're the guest here. Choose which direction you want to go. I'm the host, but that means nothing.
I'm gonna go with what's been your favorite car, Sean?
My favorite car?
Yeah.
Is this a car that I've driven or just
owned?
That I've owned.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be.
Or maybe driven.
Okay.
But I would assume if you've driven it and it's your favorite, you'd buy it.
That doesn't necessarily apply.
Or it's on the list to buy.
Sure, but so the only car that I really love right now is my 2011 BMW 1 Series M Coupe, and it's not because it's the fastest. It's probably because it's BMW's greatest driving machine.
You sure it's not because it's a mouthful to say? Holy shit!
What? That is the
That is part of it.
That is the technical name or model name for the car, or 1M for short.
All right. That is, and you're like, that's it. It's your favorite. You've driven and owned.
Yeah.
So,
well, I haven't driven Lamborghinis or McLarens like someone over here.
Come spring, we're putting you in the Mac. Then. I assume that you've actually driven these. I just assume.
No,
this.
I haven't.
So, and if people don't tell me, like, oh, hey, I need to slide up in that.
Harris has more experience behind the wheels of 6-digit cars than I do. Though the most expensive car that I've ever driven was a Acura NSX. Terry's.
Yeah, he drove Terry's. Yeah.
Oh, you drove Terry's NSX? The new one or the old one?
The new one.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
I haven't driven one
it
of
was
those.
super awesome. It was in its stock form. He reverted it back to stock.
That's a great car.
But it was still a very smooth, fun car. The power is all there.
All the time.
Would you say it's GTR like? Have you driven a GTR?
I have not driven a GTR.
Oh my goodness! I think
See?
I could have gotten you into one.
Yeah, you had one, didn't you?
It's
But
gone now.
every time I've gone to a car show that you were at, you were shortly leaving right after. So I've still never gotten to sit in your McLaren. I have not ridden in your McLaren. I've only ever seen it for
Dude,
like
I didn't
a
even
minute.
realize this. People tell me this all the time. Like, I got one of my guys that I hang out with. I go snowboarding almost like 3-4 days a week with him, right? And he's like, yeah, I've never gone on a ride in your McLaren. And I was like, what? Really, Richie? I was like, I don't even
You don't even
remember
register,
like who's been in it, who hasn't, right?
Why would you? Yeah.
But I mean, like, I try to make it so that everybody, because for me, like, before I had it, you know, it's you aspire to want it. Like, I want it, but along the way, I wish I knew somebody that had one, so that I could have driven it, been in it, right?
That brings up a perfect, like, a quick segue, or not a segue, tangent. So one thing I've noticed in the car community, right, especially with other, you know, photographers or whatever, right, when they're especially talking to supercar owners such as yourself, which is a great title to have now that you're in that class or club.
Yes.
But one thing that people have issues with is like, they're like, oh, they never respond to me, or they never ask, you know, because like they, for whatever reason, there's this, and what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like entitlement, like, oh, well, I should be able to.
Well,
do
it's
that.
like when the Daniel Mack comes up to your window and goes, "What do you do for a living?" And you're like, "Oh, it's Daniel Mack." Well, if you don't know it's Daniel Mack, it's the 100th person or the 1000th person
Exactly.
that's asking you what you do for a
Right.
living.
So you don't remember who has asked you for a photo shoot. You don't remember, and that's gonna come this season, by the way. But like you don't remember who's done asked this, this, and this, and
Or the Instagram DMs.
right. And
they're
Richie's
basically
one of your
like-
best friends
they,
too.
They send you pictures. And
Yeah.
I don't actually know what social protocol is because I'm not a photographer.
Right. You'll
And
message me like, "Hey, is
I've
it okay
never
if I
owned
say this?"
anything nice enough that people want to take pictures of. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what the social protocol is, but I get photographers sending me pictures of my car, and I'm like, "Oh, thank you, thumbs up, I
Right.
appreciate it." I don't know how else am I supposed to respond. Like, do you want me to pay you for a photo shoot? Like, is that the end goal here?
And we had this conversation at length one time. It's a weird situation to be put in because some guys are like, oh, here's a picture, done, end the deal. Others kind of expect you to just throwing around your little thing.
Successful.
So he finally got it back on. It took him way less time to take it off.
We're gonna need video at some point because that was so out of context.
Yeah, you should do a video podcast.
It is going to come at some point. It's just that I don't want to do it like until it's done right? Like
Oh yeah, you're like fine tuning all the interview side of
Right.
things.
Let's get the
I'm excited.
yeah, let's get the video perfect first. Then we can add, or not the
Yeah.
video, the audio
We
perfect.
have this sweet backdrop and like lots
yeah,
of
we're gonna use the TV
reefer
as well.
smoke
Yeah.
just filling the room.
Yeah, yep. We'll get high, do some bourbon or whatever. Yeah. But no, that's why we're gonna use the TV and everything. But anyways, back to that little tangent of a tangent. It's weird, right? Because like a lot of the people that will send you photos, or this is coming from someone who's done the same thing, right?
You're a photographer, so I'm expecting an answer here. I threw out
Right.
a problem that I have.
Well, 'cause
I have
I-
Instagrammers sending me photos of my shit, and I'm like, I don't know how to.
Right.
I don't even respond to them because I'm afraid that they're gonna be like, "Hey, do you want a photo shoot?" And I'm gonna have to let them down and be like, "I know a photographer. He basically shoots for a couple beers. Like, what do you want? What do you want me to do?" Yeah.
You can pay me for tacos. Honestly, like with some of my closest friends, like you, Adam, you know, Chaz, like a lot of you guys, like and Sean, sitting right here.
Yeah,
I'll buy
what
the
the fuck?
occasional
I was about
dinner
to
for the
say.
guy, and he's like happy.
Right. Yeah. Like
Do you want more? Like,
$100 or $200 from either of you isn't gonna make me rich, you know. But if
Right.
you're a total stranger, I'm gonna get paid for my time. But it's weird because like I see a lot, especially like newer photographers on the scene. I see them making these small little mistakes or little ego issues or whatever that like
no mistakes.
I
They're
remember having.
growth.
Yeah, growth.
moments.
Yeah, growth moments, right? So it's
Yeah.
like
Keep it PG.
my point being, it's like if you could forget about one of your best friends.
Uh-huh.
If you could forget about one of your best friends and you never gave him a ride along or even sitting in a McLaren, it's going to obviously happen to a stranger too. And that kind of just
Oh,
applies to
yeah.
everybody. And that's kind of like that whole little tangent.
Like you can't make everybody happy.
Oh
You
yeah, or
can't.
like a total stranger's gonna come up and be like, "Hey, can I get a ride?" And I'll be
Like,
like,
yeah, you can't give
Yeah,
it-
but yet
everyone
Sean's at
in
the show with me.
Minnesota
He's
riding
a
a McLaren.
friend of mine, and I still haven't even given him a ride or haven't
Right.
driven the thing. But I'm gonna let the rando at Buck Hill just
right.
hop in.
And sometimes you might do that as well. Like, you know, you'll say, all right, whatever. I know.
You know what? That's a good segue. So every year, one day a year, I do the fundraiser for a women's shelter in Northfield, and you get a ride along in the Mac
Yep.
for like $20, and I go anywhere between 150 and 180 miles per hour.
Allegedly.
During it's on a closed course, so we're safe. And you get to go anywhere between 150 and 180 miles per hour on a joyride with me for like 5-10 minutes, right? For $20, and you get my company.
Yeah, and it doesn't even go to you. It goes to that whatever.
It goes to the women's shelter.
Right. I was about to say that's how he's financing the McLaren.
Yeah. I'm $20 a ride is how I'm paying for the Mac. So,
which honestly you probably could, but that's also like way cheaper than like I remember I went for a drift ride along in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I was like $150-200 or whatever for like
$200, yeah,
for like 3 minutes
for a supercar ride along or whatever.
No,
yeah.
it was a
or a drift car. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a Dodge Hellcat.
No,
A Charger.
No, I think it was a C6 Corvette. I think that was set up for drifting.
Wow.
Oh,
When I went to
$200 to get in a C6.
It was cool though. It was fun.
No, it's cool, but like.
Still $200.
Like they actually can pay off that car with their $200 payments.
Yeah, well, when I did that, we loaded like 4 people into a Dodge Charger Hellcat. Had a professional driver whip us around the track, and that was worth the $200, not in a C6.
Were you in downtown Minneapolis during the riots? Is that?
In Vegas. Speed Vegas.
No, I'm just messing.
I've never been to one of those.
You're like one of those
been
takeovers?
Never been to a takeover, slideshow.
Yeah, me neither.
Whatever you want to call it.
I did a little street racing, you know. Like
Oh,
I showed up.
different though.
I
That's
showed
different.
up. I didn't do it. I just wanted to see how it goes down in Minnesota.
Right.
Because I've been to a Japanese street race scene. I've been to the California and then Minnesota.
Which one's the most entertaining?
I'm biased, right? But Japanese street racing scene for sure.
Oh, well, what are they racing?
I mean, everything. It was what, almost 15, 18 years ago, right? So it was everything from like S13s to K trucks, like KG Doshita trucks, like less than 1,000 cc, little tiny white, you know, like Honda Acti trucks, right? To 300ZXs and R33s. You know, there wouldn't really be R34s that show up. We're talking about the sticks of Japan, and back in the day when it was big money to buy an R34. Just like today.
I don't know. When I think of like street racing in Japan, I think of like Midnight Club.
Yeah.
And like Porsches.
Imagine that, but just with like a lot lower budget.
Yeah. Kind of like how it is.
There
here
wasn't
in
a single
Minneapolis.
Porsche at the street race scene that I used to attend when I was a youngin'. And then, so it was at the port, right? You'd show up at the port. Actually, you'd show up at Lawson's. Lawson's is a convenience store. So imagine like 7-Eleven. A lot of people meet up there.
Yep.
Get your convenient drinks, some sushi, whatever, right? And then like, I'm not in tune. I don't know when, but obviously the people in the know, the Japanese people there, they drive over a few blocks over to this area where there's 2 roads going down where they drag and 2 roads going up where everybody parks on one lane, and the other lane everybody like starts driving. Then they whip a U-turn at the light, and then they drag down, right? There's that, and then there's a little bit further over is the actual port, and it's just a big empty concrete pad. And so anybody that wants to like drift or practice drifting, you just go to the port. And if you want to drag, you're at those lanes. And then the cops show up every like hour or so in these tiny little non-police cars, but police cars, and just turn on their red lights. Everybody disperses, goes back to Lawson's. Everybody knows where they're going. Like the cops know where they're going. They go back to Lawson's. And they wait, you hang out, have some drinks. And then you go back to street racing again. And it goes on like 3-4 times a night until everybody goes home. It's like Friday, Saturdays. That's it.
Right. So it sounds exactly like the Minneapolis St. Paul street races. Like the street scene out here is like it used to be you go to Sun Foods. Everybody would meet up in that parking lot. And then, the people who were in the know, would start leaving, and then everybody would be like, oh, time to go follow everyone. And then they'd all go to the first spot, and everybody, line up, drive down these industrial roads, and, you'd walk around, you'd say like, hey to people that you knew, and be like, that car, I want to race. I'm going to go talk to you. Let's go race now. And the cops would eventually come, they turn on their lights, and then everybody just disperse.
You know how you line up in Japanese street races after you make that U-turn at the light, people just start, because you're all driving. You just stay in your car. And you just start lining up next to who you want to race. So some people will go down the strip solo because nobody wants to race them.
Yeah.
Yep. And then some people will just, you'll like, I had a 300ZX that I raced quite a bit at the street races. And so I try to line up next to other cars that are like, it's going to be competitive.
Right.
Right? You're not trying to line up on. So usually, like, if there's a K truck, it's lining up next to another K truck and whatnot. So
Yeah, you got to fight within your weight class.
Yeah, and
Right.
it's just out of respect, right? And Japanese, a lot of respect going on there. So that was pretty chill. And the American car race scene, right? Like Minnesota, I should say. Who flags you guys to go?
It's usually like the
Is there a hot
organizer.
chick?
No, it's usually the event
movie
organizer,
moment,
and it's the same guy every night that does it.
Every
And
time. He must have like an adrenaline rush
He loves
throwing
it.
his
He must
hands.
love it to trust all these strangers.
to not swerve into him.
Yeah. Yeah,
on launch.
he's a professional too, so I'm sure he knows like exactly like how far away to stand, like back from the
flag
cars.
and then walk forward. So you know.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it was in Japan too. But they're actually, they would have different people doing it. So it was kind of like entertaining. And
So
they have a different thing to it. Like they say different stuff as they're, like on your mark, get set, go, right? But they probably do it in Japanese and I don't understand it. So.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you know any Japanese, or were you just kind of like, like you shake your head, like yeah, no, like
I know enough to get by.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I like, it'd be kind of like if they're standing up there saying things, they're saying on your mark, get set, go, but you don't actually know.
Like
the
context
direct-
clues?
Yeah,
Yeah.
context.
Yeah.
Context is everything, right? If whatever you're talking about, you can kind of fumble your way through it and figure out what they're discussing. So.
I like it.
Yeah. So M1M, favorite beast. Is there anything in the in the hopper you like?
No, unfortunately not. I'm just focusing on investing
Rentals.
at this moment. So investing in cars is not very lucrative.
What?
Anymore.
Dude, I think I
anymore.
turned 20K on my GTR.
Well, yeah, but you bought that pre-COVID?
Like right when everybody was like mass hysteria. Like, oh my God, the sky's falling.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I want a GTR.
Yeah, prices were low.
Yeah, I mean, you got it basically right at the bottom of the price.
And I was only mad because I didn't buy more of a car, because it was like discount mode, right? So I should have bought more car. But you don't really know what's gonna happen. So
Yeah.
you're just like,
I missed that GTR. And honestly, like you said, like,
I don't.
I know you don't because you got a Mac now, but like, as somebody who appreciates all cars and doesn't have to pay for whatever I drive, that's kind of the perk of being a photographer. It's like, oh, I don't have to make it's kind of like a dog, right? Like you don't have to clean up the shit, right?
Yeah.
That's the same deal. Like I don't have to replace the brakes on a GTR. I don't have to deal with whatever. Like
That was probably the best thing about the GTR was the maintenance.
Was it?
Yeah. Like
Wasn't it pretty close to supercar price maintenance? in
I
some
don't know.
aspects?
That's the thing. It didn't really take much to keep it. Like
Well, you had it at a sweet power band where it wasn't an issue.
I think I did pads, oils, all the fluids every year. I know it was definitely over the top, but it was a GTR, so I felt like it deserved to be pampered,
Yeah.
And I was like, you can't change fluids too much, so I just every year when it went in for the winter time,
Right.
you just go, hey,
Just go to LJ, tell them to take care of it. Yep.
all fluids. So
Yeah, that's kind of like I was saying. Like it's beautiful. Like I can just drive it, enjoy it for what it is, and not deal with any of the BS.
Yeah.
So like I can give at least that opinion on it. But it's like, what was I leading up to before that?
I don't know.
I was leading up to something there.
I'm
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you hated the bags on it. That's what I was getting to.
Yeah, when I love the bags, but I hated the bags, right? Bags are a love-hate relationship. Whenever you don't want the bags, you still have them.
Right.
But it was cool from a wow factor.
Right.
Like, hands down, it feels like you're showing up to a midnight club scene, right? And you're airing out, and you're like purging your nos, and you're like having fun. You're popping your lights on or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, it's not functional, and kind of.
You had issues above 120, I think.
About 100. Honestly, anything over
Yeah.
100, if you hit a bump like on the freeway or something, or I mean on a course, on a track.
Yeah,
whatever.
sure, whatever.
On the road. If you were over 100 and you hit a bump, it would kind of get some air, and then traction light would come on, and it would get kind of squirrely.
It would get really unsettled, kind of like my Jeep Gladiator hitting a bump.
Yeah, and when you have a GTR that you don't feel comfortable taking above 100, 120,
What's the point of having a GTR? Yeah.
like give me a Sentra.
Well, it's easy to have a bagged car when your car is slow as shit. Like,
Yeah.
like my Golf. It's,
You roll on a low rider
Yeah.
or a truck or something
Right.
like that. Yeah.
yeah, it's
it
like that
works.
car shouldn't be going over 100
Which is
anyway.
what the cool factor of the bags in the GTR was because you took a really awesome track car
And
you
destroyed
it. So
No, it's cool, and I think
Is
the
what
guy
it
that
is.
bought it, he also took them off, didn't he? Or he
think-
said he was going to.
he said he was going to. I think he has by now. I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sucks because that thing had a super custom air ride.
Yeah, I mean he has all the
set
stuff
up.
for it. I mean it plug and play, right?
Yeah, somebody will
could-
enjoy it.
because the trunk was all like kitted out. It wasn't just like
Yeah, it was like show quality air
Yeah,
ride.
show
It wasn't just
quality.
like
You got a
tank
trophy.
in the trunk.
Yeah, you did get a trophy. You saw that trophy, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you
I
didn't
don't
give
throw
him
my
with the
trophies
car?
in the trash or anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't get enough of them to be at that level.
Yeah, it's like once you get 20 or 30 trophies, it's like, all right, you guys are picking and choosing shelf space.
Yeah.
Just toss it in the garbage.
only keep the biggest ones.
Only keep the biggest trophies.
Yeah, I think he's the biggest trophy here. Okay, so we've been through the GTR. I missed that Sylvia, by the way, the S13.
Yeah.
Especially after I posted that video or the reel last night, I was like, man, I missed that car.
Yeah, it's okay though because we stole its
heart.
heart. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not gonna be able to drive the truck like that, the way you drove to Sylvia, will you?
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
The truck's gonna be a show level truck.
Nah, I don't think so.
You're not going that far anymore.
Nah, it's a truck at the end of the day.
Are you doing the air jacks still?
Probably not.
No.
No.
What about the?
I've decided to scale my budget back on all of the dumb.
The
things. I've
non-supercar
taken
stuff.
Sean's advice here, and I'm like, oh, I should probably get some rental property. So I've been looking.
Yeah.
I got a guy if you need one.
Everybody's got a guy.
Is his name Jeff Storms?
No, he's a friend of mine, but
Oh.
a friend is a friend of yours.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, Jeff has been helping. You know Jeff, right?
Yeah.
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 Does Jeff do investment properties?
He does, and he's
Okay.
a realtor, so it's
Yeah.
like double.
I think he's got a few. I can't remember.
He's got
how
a
many.
few of his own, and then
Okay, awesome. Okay, I talked to him briefly, but then I ended up using someone else. I'm so sorry, Jeff.
Jeff. Sean doesn't really mean it. He doesn't like you.
Please don't antagonize him.
He's probably one of the 6 people that listen to this
I know.
podcast.
Well, especially if we mentioned that we mentioned him.
Yeah, and he'll
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, right in the middle of the whole thing. Wait, so who's your guy? Like, how do you know? your guy?
Dominic Jankowski. He's the husband of a community member.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's someone that I've seen and I wanted to use, and he actually helped me a lot getting into my first investment property. So
That's pretty cool. And do you do? So I don't know if this is too intrusive of a podcast question, but I'm gonna ask it anyways, and then you can just tell me.
We can always cut it too.
You can't cut it. But would you do a 20? Do you do it like just a solid 20 down?
yeah, no, you have to do 20 down for an investment property.
Okay. Okay.
So unless this is your
well,
main
you know,
main
there's
property,
all these people that'll be like, oh, do an FHA, it's your first one. You know what I mean? Because it's your first home,
right?
living it,
And you
split
can
it. You know, do different.
There's a
weird
lot
things.
of loopholes, but
At the end of the day,
typical
It's
deal
20, 20, 20, 20.
is 20% down.
Okay. Do you LLC every one of your properties?
You don't have to LLC.
You don't have to, but I'm like,
No,
do you?
not until you own something like 5 properties, just because at that point it's a business. But if you own a couple properties, then it's just like a personal hobby essentially.
It's a personal. That's how the tax man looks at it, huh? Personal hobby.
Yeah, and I can
Damn.
yeah
I like it.
I can still write off all the expenses for my taxes.
Oh man.
So
By the way,
yeah.
six listeners. This is not tax advice.
No, we are not financial advisors. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
But
I'm only
this is what we
repeating
do.
what my accountant and loan officers has told me.
Yeah.
You know that one meme where it's like, oh, I'm like, I can't remember what movie it was. It was the one that's like the kid that's like, y'all got houses? It's like
Y'all got houses?
like you're just like, yeah, I got 5 houses. Oh, I got 2. Y'all got houses? You know,
Yeah,
like that,
wait, what?
I can't even remember what movie it's from, but yeah, it was such.
Can I get some of these
weird.
trading cards? You know, like, are these like Pokemon that we just collect? You know, like,
I love how it's like a hobby up until 5.
yeah, it's just a hobby until 5.
Well, I guess it kind of makes sense, right? Because think about it, like when you get into a certain tax bracket, you do get a vacation home if you know, like let's say, especially like when you're in a cold state like this, it's like, yeah, I'd love to have a place in Florida. And then it's like, oh, I'll have a place in California.
You know what's funny that you say that?
What?
People that live here as their vacation home
Yeah.
will buy a home in a colder, shittier part of the state.
Yeah, the cabins.
Fun fact, right? Like everybody that buys cabins, right? I'm always trying to wrap my head around that. I'm like, wait a second, cabin. And I've looked at the prices on some of them, you know, like because they don't buy. Some people buy cheaper ones, right?
Yeah.
But there's definitely people that have like $500,000, $1 million cabins up north, and you're like, wait a second, $500,000, $1 million house in Florida sounds a lot better than a cabin in Minnesota. But I'm also off in the winter times,
Right.
so I want to disappear from this place and go.
Yeah, you travel a lot. How many vacations have you done since the off season started now?
0. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is coming from a guy who was in Jamaica literally 3 days ago.
Question for you.
Question.
Or maybe you do this at the end of your podcast. Like, do you talk about who you have on next?
I have no clue. Cause like,
Oh, you don't line it up or anything?
no,
like-
because sometimes somebody's like, oh, well, I actually might go snowboarding, you know, like 2 hours before the podcast. And it's like, well, shit, you know.
I don't know who would say that.
I don't know who would say that,
You know, it's-
especially on a Sunday.
yeah.
Yeah. No, and you know,
happens.
unless I were to, you know, build up a steady stream of them, but then it's like, I want the conversations to be relevant, right? So like when we were talking about the E-Ray Corvette last week, that was like a day or two after it released. If I hold on to a podcast for a week and build it up in that way, then we're not seeing, I guess, relevant information for the most part. You know, like even talking about the Tesla price hike or whatever, like that was already a week late when we talked about it on the last
Oh
episode.
yeah, you can't do. It's kind of like when you watch the Grand Tour. They film all their stuff like 6 months old. So then when
Right.
they reveal these new cars, it's like it's old.
It's not very
news.
new. Well, yeah, anything like that,
Yeah.
really. So, like, and granted, you know, watching the way they do Grand Tour now, it's just like them having fun with a 2008 Evo or whatever.
Ooh,
But
I got a question for you.
let it rip.
All right, how familiar? Because this is current event.
Okay.
Current event. Because they're filming Banging Gears.
Yes.
All those guys are going down there.
Yep.
What's up with that?
So banging
Do you know?
gears.
You got the inside knowledge. You got the inside scoop on it, right?
I didn't realize how much inside knowledge I had until about yesterday. So,
Well, I want it. I want that.
So wait, what is banging gears?
Oh, Sean's getting the scoop.
I don't know what that is either.
so
Yeah.
banging gears is basically going to be, and again,
Oh, we're
this-
basically plugging all of them right now. Shout out, by the way, 6 viewers just went to 7 because they're going to be excited that they just got plugged on
I have
this.
and I know most of the people going there as well personally from Minnesota. So here's the deal. So the specifics of the actual track event are a little hazy to me, but I do know that there's going to be either all drag racing or partially drag racing or whatever. Basically, it's JDM versus supercar. Because so it's
It's
Adam
like
L-
Grady Erickson's car versus everybody else.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But basically, so it's it's hosted by Adam LZ and I forgot the third person.
Wait, he's like one of the hosts?
Right, they're like hosts or something like that. So, anyways, the concept of the show is basically JDM or whatever import versus exotics. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, and I don't know who the other cars
Aren't
are going.
exotics import?
Yeah, yeah.
Fun fact.
Again, this is my terrible English, but nonetheless.
No, not you. I'm just kind of,
Yeah.
like, what's
Well, the reason I say
the premise
that-
is exotics versus basically tuners.
Right, tuners basically. But here, the reason I say it that way is because, would you call an R35 JDM, an R35
Yeah.
GTR?
Yeah, it's built.
Yeah.
It's handmade in Japan. So I mean, that's definitely
Actually, yeah, I guess that's a weird example. So, listen, there's a
in a
few.
hermetically sealed
Do
laboratory.
you know what JDM stands for?
No, here's my beef with it because every time I
He
say
does.
that something like an R35's like JDM or whatever, I have a bunch of dorks come after me. They're like, "Well, it's not actually JDM or it was not made in Japan." There's some people that ruin the definition for everyone. I see a Japanese car like an R35, I think it's JDM. Somebody out there's going to argue that all day long for whatever reason. I've been yelled at it for before, so it's like, yeah. Anyways,
Well, people are wrong, Harris.
People are wrong.
Eric should be the professional on this topic.
Of defining what is JDM and what is not.
So what is JDM? Like, what does that acronym stand for?
Japanese domestic manufacturing.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if it's manufactured in Japan,
Yeah.
it's
So
JDM.
does that only apply to cars that were manufactured
I think
in
it's
Japan?
the majority. No,
designed.
I would say that would be an incorrect definition because we do it all the time, right? Our Apple products are not made in America, but are they American products?
Yeah.
It's an American company,
Well,
and they're engineered and designed in America, right? And then we manufacture them somewhere else where it's really cheap, right?
Well, here's a better example, right?
Yeah.
But we still consider them an American brand, an American company, an American product.
Yeah, 100%.
So Nissan is engineered, developed, whatever. Even if it was Toyota Tundra that's built in the U.S., right?
Right.
I would still say it's a Japanese
Yeah,
truck.
you answered that for me because I was about to say, like, for example, a large portion of BMWs are built in North or South Carolina.
X's and Z's, baby.
So it's JDM. There you go. So that I'm just gonna stick with that till the day I die. So, anyways, that said, so again, we got
So yeah, they're banging gears out there.
they're banging gears. So basically, it's gonna be So basically, JDM versus supercar. So we're gonna have, like, for example, Grady's GTR, which is a 12 to 1400 horsepower monster with
Absolute monster.
all carbon panels, which I believe sheds about 300 to 400 pounds or whatever.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I think that was built by Speedcore, I believe. And then the motor and all that stuff was like full-blown motorsports and all that fun stuff. So
And
then,
Ryan's out there?
so Ryan, yep. So Wheeler's out there, Lambo Dad with the Lambo. Those guys are travel buddies.
JWP's out there.
JWP is out there with the NSX.
With the
Yep,
NSX.
Trevor designed that wrap. I was really
And
happy to see that.
Katie is bringing a Supra?
I believe so. Yep. And then who else we got? We got AJ's Garage.
Oh yeah, AJ's out there.
I think he's bringing his
Euro
twin turbo
charge.
R8. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I think so. That's what it alluded to.
Yep. Let's see. And then
are there people that are not from Minnesota going to be on this? Or is
correct.
this like a Minnesota
yeah.
thing?
Well, yeah. The reason. So here's the reason
So
that.
they're all going to represent Minnesota.
Yeah, and then we got Ratify Motorsport as well. He's bringing the Audi. But so here's how the Minnesota
Right.
people got involved. So Golden Peak Productions, the guys who filmed Whiplash Rally. So they're the Connect. So they're actually filming the whole thing.
Oh.
They're filming the whole show. So they got the moto crane. Do you know what the moto crane is?
Yep.
That's that big ass boom that goes on top.
Yeah.
So they stepped up their filming capabilities big time. So I believe they're filming the whole thing.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so they're the Connect. They're the reason a lot of Minnesota people. 'Cause listen, we got a crazy scene here. It's small.
Side note, I think that's how you blew your Whiplash budget.
That's a big portion of it, but it's still only 30% of me going over.
I know.
Where's the
But
other
I'm just saying because like you hired basically Hollywood to film your Whiplash. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, which is amazing, which is awesome.
Right. No,
But
and I thought I was.
I don't
Yeah.
think the attendants appreciate it as much as the host.
Yeah. No. No. The attendants definitely appreciate it.
They
loved
do,
it.
but
yeah.
I mean, like,
But
there's only
it,
so
it
many of
wasn't.
them.
It wasn't enough of a selling point, unfortunately.
Yeah.
to
Nobody's
get people
going,
involved.
ooh, I want to be filmed by Golden Peaks. Yeah.
But the following year, it would have been a big selling
It'd
point.
have been a banger. It'd have been
Right.
bang on.
Nonetheless, that's what happens when you make poor financial decisions and planning decisions. We're not talking about the rally, damn it.
Oh, my bad. So they're filming this whole thing.
Right.
So who else is going then from other states and stuff?
That I do not know. I've
We
not looked
only
into
know about the Minnesota.
I only know about the Minnesota people, and then they start filming this week, I believe. What gets released, when it gets released, I have no clue.
That's exciting.
I actually, Balto's going with the Community Evo.
Oh, he's gonna try and promote the app, I suppose, huh?
Yeah. So he's actually having that thing put together last minute, or some like fixes or whatever. I don't know. I was asking, like, I'd be down to tag along, and
He said no.
no. Yeah, I think he offered it, or I offered
You're
it.
still here.
I don't know. Well, no, he doesn't leave until the 2nd.
2nd of February.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure. I think they're filming different things on different days. I'm not sure, but I'm talking out of my ass there. But I told him, like, bro, I'm ready to go.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. I'd be riding shotgun. We'd have to drive all the way down because he can't trailer it, and he has to get the build miles.
Trailer?
Well, yeah, he's got to get the build miles on the car because he's doing a refresh or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they dropped the whole engine in the Evo.
Oh, so they're trying to get those 500-mile type deals, like
Yeah,
break in miles.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So I'm down to go if it works out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. It's all up in the air. I doubt I'll be going, but you never know. Dude, so many of my trips and opportunities have happened last minute. Like Crown Rally, like when I went to go shoot photos in 2018, I found out 16 hours before. I had to call off the entire weekend off, my first day of classes or whatever, which is a big deal in college because if you don't show up, you get dropped from the class, whatever. Just dumb shit like that because our education system's fucked, but that's a different tangent. But basically, long story short, is a lot of those opportunities happen totally last minute where I'll just be like, all right, I'm traveling now.
Okay.
Yeah. This is why not having a wife and kids is so helpful.
Yeah.
You got a wife, he's got a wife and a kid.
Yeah.
Hey, I still get to do plenty of fun stuff. I just found out that some people
I feel like those
don't
are
even
the
get to
early-
leave their house for the first year, and they don't
Yeah.
get to travel. I
It's
got
insane.
to travel almost immediately. I went on Whiplash Rally a month after my daughter was born.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people, not a lot of husbands, can say that.
Dude,
Like they got to
yeah.
leave and go on a trip by themselves.
Are you bragging about being an absentee father?
I am not. I am an amazing father. My wife can attest to that.
He's like, I get to leave, child's just
I get to get the
fending for
milk.
itself. I don't know. It's out in the wilderness. It's fine.
No,
Work
honestly
out.
though, dude, him and his wife, and again, we're not gonna go too far into your personal life, but dude, he's got the most killer wife. Like, they got this thing figured out.
I think my chihuahua and your child could just chill when we leave. They'll take care of each other.
Yeah, in a couple of years, my child can watch your dog, and your dog can watch my child.
Boom.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And we leave them in a hot
They
car.
can both dial 911. But it just
I'm
works out.
kidding.
Yeah, we're going down to Texas 2K together, so that's pretty. Actually, no, your wife's coming with us as well. She's gonna fly in, so perfect. It's gonna be a good time.
You guys are both going?
Yeah.
You bringing the child?
No, we're leaving
Again, with the Chihuahua.
with the grandparents.
Oh, with the grandparents.
Yeah.
You go? Is that a whole week then?
Almost.
I've
Wednesday
never gone to
through
it.
Sunday.
All right.
I'll find out. I'll listen to it back.
You've been
later.
to Texas 2K before, right, Sean?
Never.
This
This
is
is my
first
first
time.
time.
Oh, this is your first
I
time?
was so scared because last year was supposed to be the last year of Texas 2K, and Harris got to go, and he brought me back a hoodie because I was like, you got to give me a hoodie because
You didn't get to go.
I didn't get to
The
go.
whole child
And, yeah,
on the way.
and yeah, because it was a month before my child was supposed to be
Yeah, you
born,
don't-
so it was like
you don't
I can't go with you.
And so that was supposed to be the last year?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah, they were the track got bought out by somebody. They sold the track. So, the new ownership didn't want to continue it, but I guess they're continuing it this year. So
They saw the financials. They must have. They've been like,
there-
oh, this
I don't
place
know
is
why
wrong or
you'd give up
something.
on Texas 2K.
Right,
Like
it's-
that is one of
it's renowned.
like yeah,
Yeah.
it is world renowned.
Yeah.
Like this is one of the biggest drag racing events in the world.
Yeah, my buddy from New York went down there. He won his class. He brought a Subaru. I think it was like 1,500 horsepower STI.
Cool. Is he going to be
Might
there?
be wrong numbers. Don't quote me on that.
Is he
I
gonna
might
be
have
there?
Inflated it. He probably will.
Okay.
I mean, because he won last year in his class, so it's like kind of hard not to go back.
Right.
If you're a champ, I mean, if I'm champ, I'm going back, or I'm passing because I'm like, oh, I can remain the champ, and I can just retire.
No, you got to go back and represent. You got to
Yeah.
keep the belt.
Yeah, his name's Omar Farias. So if you notice a blue STI, it's running some hot numbers. It was still with a standard manual.
Yeah,
So-
that's going to be a very unique car, I'm sure. A Subaru STI that's pushing that much power.
Yeah, it's 12 to 1500. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Ericsson's running.
What
GTR,
what
right?
numbers do you get? Like a 7-second quarter mile? You think?
I want to say that he was. Yeah, I want to say he was low sevens.
That's insane.
But don't quote me, because numbers and people and time and everything, I'm probably wrong, right? But whatever number he got something.
Yeah,
good-
well, a
good
lot of
enough.
those guys don't like to air out their numbers. You
You know,
know,
that's the thing. He did show his time slip on his after he won and everything. He posted his time
Oh,
slip.
really? And he
so,
still won. Damn,
Yeah.
that is kind of cocky.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
But a lot of those guys keep everything under wraps. They don't want any
Really?
pictures of the engine bay. They don't
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
Like that's
He
the
shares
whole
all
point of
that with me,
that,
yeah.
That's like the whole point of Nth Moto is they have like NDAs for the delivery people because they don't want the delivery people going to Calvo and saying like
Man,
this is
you
what
know
I saw.
I'm a big non-believer in that type of deal. Like, I'm sorry.
So that's partially true. Here's the deal. So they actually share a lot of technical specs, actually. Like
But you got NDA, so then on the reverse, you
They show some things, right? And then they show like
they show things that everybody else knows. Well, that's not very.
no. So it's
But,
weird. Like
you know, a lot of their parts are made in house too.
Yeah,
So
machine
you know,
owned parts type
yeah.
deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, for me,
they're obviously not sharing like the dimensions of like
Yeah.
the parts that they're building, but like if somebody like took a picture and then sent that to Calvo, I'm sure they could like recreate it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some things that they don't share for obvious reasons, but then there's other things that, again, I can't speak to like.
Could you imagine if everybody just worked together in harmony?
Yeah,
And
but
then at
are
the same
they-
time, they also don't share.
Are they
Right.
sharing like build sheets? Are they sharing like these are the size turbos we're running? These are
Yeah.
size injectors. These are
This is
you
our
know,
flow. This is our flow pattern for our injectors.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
like-
I doubt they're showing all of that.
Yeah, this is the impedance we run on our
that's the
injectors.
secret
you know?
sauce. You know, like you can see everything on the burger, but what's in that sauce is what's really making that burger cook.
Yeah, and I'm sure. I think they're giving, and this is a total guess. They're probably just giving just enough to actually have competitors, because competition makes everybody better.
Right.
But I think they're still keeping enough to win. But I don't know. I don't know. That's just a guess.
Greedy.
Yeah, no. When you're a competitor,
no.
you want to fucking win, Eric.
Now, I say that because I'm a consumer, right?
Yeah.
But in my industry, it's the same way, right?
Right.
You give away information, you know, but we don't give away everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not handing out your
But
Rolodex of
I'm also not
clients.
Nthmoto in my industry.
Right.
I'm like I don't know, like Tires Plus in my industry.
Yeah. You're not some genius that invented something.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
No, I don't
Yeah.
have anything very original. I just copy everybody else. So.
Yeah. Dude. So, Kratos is going to be about 4,000 horsepower. At Texas 2K.
Yeah.
The Viper, the crown jewel of Nthmoto.
You can't have a podcast without mentioning a Viper with hairs.
We didn't mention a Viper. Nope. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I think that was like listen. My path in cars is very clear at the moment. I wanted to go currently I'm on the Golf. Now, depending where I'm at financially in the next year or two, I'd like to jump to the Supra, but if allowed, I will jump all the way to the GT500.
Sean shook his head. He does not support the Super decision. It's what it
No,
looks like.
absolutely not. I could not see you getting a Supra. I could see you getting maybe like a Camaro or.
A Camaro.
Did you miss the GT500
Corvette.
part?
Okay, there's no way you're gonna jump into a GT500 from a Golf.
Yeah.
Why not?
You-
I mean, you could, but that would be really
that's
boring.
That's
waiting.
like jumping from a 400cc bike to like a 1200cc bike.
What
yeah,
if you drew?
we're going from CBR 300 to Hayabusa.
Yeah, you're missing a nice stepping stone. That's like
The 600,
something that's
the leader bike,
dailyable.
yeah.
That's also like a track car. Like it is a car enthusiast.
You know what I think he's trying to sell you on?
What?
The 1M.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Here's the deal.
He's like, that's the bridge.
I'm just saying, Sean. I spun less in the GT500 than I do in the Golf.
I'm the only one that gets a 1M. By the way, I like feeling special.
Oh, dude.
I-
You're going to hate then what I have to tell you.
Why?
Because
What?
I'm getting an LSB 1M.
No, you're not.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just
Yeah,
fucking with
there's only 5 in the state for a reason.
you. Yeah, well, I don't buy in state. Come on, let's be real.
I'm petty enough just to buy one now.
Yeah.
And mod it to the gills, because he's keeping his
I'm gonna
relatively
dump all
simple.
these Datsuns. I do have the new. You know, I have an M now, right?
Yeah, the M5.
Yeah, I didn't know if
You send me a picture. It's gorgeous.
It's kind of low key, so. You know.
Well, that's your daily driver, I'm guessing.
It's the wife's daily, so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
But you get to drive it too.
but yeah, it's mainly for me. Yeah, I really wanted the comp package, but you know, what are you gonna do?
How do you like that? Does it ride like pretty smooth, or is it
Love it. Love it.
sportier?
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah, it's everything you want it to be.
I would love the
Like
new
when you want it
M4
to
too.
be.
Yeah.
Sporty.
If
It's
only
sporty,
it
right.
came in a wagon configuration.
Yeah, no, I'm good. The wife doesn't like wagons. I don't mind wagons, but when I have a truck, I have no need for a wagon. So then I want cars.
But trucks are slow. They're real slow.
Bro, he's got a flying couch. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I got the flying sofa out there. But
T-Rex.
The whatchamacallit, the M5. So I had an E60 M5 before, and I loved that. And then I was like, oh, how can you make an E60 better, right? Because like, I liked it. And the current F80 or whatever the heck this thing is, I try not to pay attention to it very much because otherwise I'll modify it, and I have to remember that it's the wife's car, and if I modify it, she'll hate it, and then it'll be an ongoing process. So I try to not modify the M5.
Get a little closer.
I try to not modify the M5 for that reason. But yeah, the E60, I love the E60, and then this one is just that much better.
Yeah. So when I was looking at for like my kid hauler, my daddy
Children
car,
mover.
yeah. I was looking at M5. I was looking at E63. I was looking at the RS6 station wagon.
Yup.
And at the very end of my list was going to be a Durango Hellcat. I checked out the E63.
You picked the worst of all of those, by the way.
I know, but
I know you might not like my opinion.
Finding an RS6 was incredibly difficult at the time.
Was it impossible?
It wasn't impossible.
Okay,
but
so then that's
to
not a
find
good
one
excuse.
locally
So
was an
overpriced,
issue,
too.
and also price-wise was way over budget. People, $140,000 car going for 160 to 70 to 80,000 was just way out of budget. And same with the E63, because I was looking for an E63 station wagon, and those were also just going to the moon with.
Did you ever entertain like a CTSV station wagon? Just curious. I'm just curious.
No, that was going to be a little bit too
GM?
old.
Too GM for
too,
you? Yeah.
too
Too
old for me.
It's old when it comes out. Like,
Well, they don't
True.
make station wagons right now.
no, but when they
Yeah.
had the CTS, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and plus, if I got a CTSV, it'd probably be a manual,
Which ain't a
Oh.
good daily.
Yeah.
which isn't a good daily for a baby car.
Yeah, that's fair.
But the
That's fair.
Durango was perfect. That came up and it was under my budget, and I knew the guy who was selling it.
I got this really cool thing that I tell people now. It's obviously bad advice, but which is why I give it out for free. And I tell people, don't look at the price of the vehicle. Like, don't look at it.
But how
You
do
don't have to pay for it.
How do you budget?
You're not buying it.
How do you budget for it?
You're not losing any money.
How do you figure
until
that?
you sell it? You're not realizing a loss. Right? So if you buy a $140,000 car, right?
Like
And
a
then-
McLaren?
and yeah, or whatever, right? Actually, that was more. But if you sell it for 120, I only spent $20,000 to own that McLaren.
Right. Plus all the interest payments.
Now, if you buy a cash,
Yeah, you buy it cash.
Oh, well, if you're a cash buyer, then that's no problem.
Well, either way, interest payments, whatever.
Not
like,
a lot of
I'm
people
just, I'm
have
just,
that
I'm
much
just saying,
cash
like,
laying around.
if you look at it, I'm just using very generic numbers, right? Bought it for one price, sold it for another price. You only recognize that.
it's not like you lost 140K.
No,
Yeah.
I totally understand that when I think about.
It's just more fun to justify purchasing dumb stuff that way.
Yeah, exactly. When I had my Dodge Challenger SRT, I think I paid for it straight cash. It was like $52,000.
Cash, homie.
And then when I went and sold it, I got like $42,000 for it. So
Yeah, and how long did you own it for?
And I had it for about 5 years. So for 5 years, I
You
had
paid $2,000 a year for ownership costs.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I looked at it. I was like, for $10,000, I got to drive a Challenger.
And at some
It
point,
was
that
fun.
mindset changed from then till now.
No,
because you're just
nothing-
telling me about the
nothing's
Durango and like your budget and like. But if you would have looked at it, the RS6, that RS6, you might actually only lose $10,000 on it after a
They're
couple
way
years.
lower now than when he was looking at them.
Oh yeah, they've gone back to about MSRP or less.
Well, you were looking at them when they were above MSRP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a year and a
Yeah.
half ago.
Oh, gross,
Yeah,
dude.
at the peak.
Don't pay above sticker.
I would
If
never.
there's any advice, don't buy anything above
Yeah,
sticker.
because when I look at people selling like the new Porsche GT3, and it's already got it's got like 8,000 miles on it, and they're like, I'm looking to get about 30,000 over MSRP.
Yeah.
I'm like,
No.
what is this market? Why is everybody smoking crack?
And it's the
you
same
can
with
see
any,
it in the
it's
comments
the
section.
same with every like luxury good or anything that's overvalued, right?
Yeah.
Everything will go back to normal.
Yeah,
at some
we're
point,
seeing
right?
it right now. We're seeing
Yeah.
a correction.
Porsches were one of the most ridiculous during the pandemic. Like that's why, like my dad, you know this, he was looking for GT3s or GT3 RSs, whatever.
Can't justify it.
They were all 100K over.
Dumb.
And then he goes to the dealership, and then they kind of messed. some dumb stuff happened there. But nonetheless, it still came down to 50 to 100K.
Wait, can we talk about the dumb stuff that happened? Because I was part of it.
Yeah, if you want to touch on it.
I think it's hilarious. Because, so
I don't know what's going on.
your dad. So here's Pops wants to get a GT3 allocation or whatever, or even a Turbo S, right? And he contacts a Porsche dealer and asks him like, what does he got to do? And he's got to buy a watch and I think pay 25K over, right, to get this Turbo S, I think, right?
Yeah, because like we decided on the Turbo S, it'll still be pretty sweet.
Yeah, pretty sweet, 25K over, and you have to buy some overpriced like IWC 10K watch or something, right? Which is cool because your dad likes watches and stuff like that.
But it was a meh watch.
But it was meh at best, right? And so I'm like, just for fun, I told him like, oh, well, I'm gonna call him and see what they make me do. And I have no affiliation with Porsche dealership. Your dad, obviously in the industry, it'd be like me pricing out a roof, and then your dad pricing out a roof, and him getting a better price than me.
Right.
Like what? He's not even in the industry, right?
Right.
I call up the Porsche dealer, and they're like, nope, it's just regular price, no watch, no 25K. Just come on in and
just dumb.
get your Turbo S.
So
I didn't want one.
why
I
was
want
that?
one, but I mean, I didn't.
No, we can't figure out why. I think it was just dumb.
I think they knew your dad well enough to basically tax his ass, and they didn't know me, so they're just like happy to have me as a customer.
Do you think did you guys go in like person? Did they like
I think it was via call.
call? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was both calls. I mean, like, yeah.
That's so strange. That is very strange.
It's not strange. It's dirty.
Yeah, that's
like,
dirty.
It makes you not want to buy a Porsche.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like that seems like a very dirty business practice.
Yeah, but
And
I mean, is it any surprise though? I mean, we're dealing with it.
Yeah, because like
Just have the same standards for everybody. you
Porsche
know?
was just dirty during the pandemic the whole time, though. Let's be honest. Like, and
Yeah.
not Porsche directly, because like even they were upset about their dealerships.
Yeah.
But like, I just feel like the price gouging on Porsches was so insane, and I get it. People
Yeah.
were gonna buy it either way because people were desperate.
I love watches. Side note.
Yeah.
So I sound like I like turtles.
I like Toyotas.
But watches are the same way, right? Like you have to overpay for some if you want to buy them like gray market, right?
Right.
But if you're just patient and wait and buy them from your dealer, you get regular list price, and everybody gets the normal price.
Well, especially
Like,
when it's new and
don't pay
everybody
over
wants
sticker,
it.
children.
Yeah. Well, we also looked at that watch too, and it's like it didn't command the price that it was asking. It really didn't.
No.
Like if you were to
And you know
spend-
what else is worse? Remember back in the day? I don't know if you remember back in the day, but back in the day,
Yeah.
my day, you buy a Porsche, or even I think Corvette did it back in the day too. You'd get a new leather jacket.
Yeah.
It was like part of like members club, right? Like, hey, you got your Porsche, here's your leather jacket. Like you're part of the group, you're part of the people, right?
Yeah, they kind of
Like,
like
they give you the stuff away. Now they want you to buy the accessories that define that you have the Porsche. It's like,
Yep.
oh yeah, we don't want to give you the watch for buying the Porsche. We want you to buy the watch for owning the Porsche. Seems dirty.
It's very different. But you know what? I'm glad that things worked out the way they did, and my pops is also really happy with the way it worked out because he's got that AMG GTR.
He's got a German muscle car for sure.
It's a German muscle car.
So-
Like that thing is. I mean, it's got so much carbon. It's
Has
absurd.
Sean ridden in that?
yes.
You
Yeah,
never
I gave it
did
a
any of
ride.
that.
Yeah,
I
gave it
got
a
a ride in that.
That
I did
thing-
not get to drive it though. Someone promised me a drive.
I drove it.
Who the fuck hold on. Who the fuck promised you a drive?
Dennis.
Oh, Danny.
He said he was gonna bring it over. And,
For you to drive?
Yeah.
That sounds,
He
sounds
just
like
snitched on himself.
empty promises. Which we call it. I did drive it. Let me tell you.
Wait, what?
I
What,
don't.
Eric gets to drive it?
Yeah, because he's friends with my dad.
Well, he drove. We like swapped keys at the
Yeah.
same time.
Oh, okay.
So maybe if he's willing to swap at 1M keys,
I doubt that.
I'm sure he would. Actually,
He doesn't give a fuck for
yeah.
manual.
Yeah, I'm
Dude,
sure he would.
like, here's the deal. So back in the
Okay,
old country,
what about the
everybody
Durango?
drove.
He's probably driven Durango.
He's driving fucking Durango.
Yeah, he's had a couple on the lot.
I know.
Right?
I just realized how lame that sounded. You want to drive a Durango? I get to drive
The
the
1M is more
AMG.
exciting than the Durango, I think. Yeah.
No, that worked out great though, and you guys bought it all in the same weekend, so it was really funny how that worked out too, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. They flew out. I think he found the listing on like Tuesday or something, and then he just fell in love. Money was sent Thursday. He flew out Friday or something. They drove it back.
I felt like I could be completely wrong because I don't know, right? And I don't think your dad would ever admit it.
Careful.
But it felt impulsive.
No,
He'd been looking for the longest
Right,
time,
for real,
right?
yeah, yep.
But I did not know that he even had a Mercedes on the radar. Because I
always
felt
been,
like we
yeah.
were 90% there of getting him on the Mac train as well. Like, dude, get a Mac, I'll get a Mac. And we'll both enjoy this terrible ride together. And we'll both enjoy these terrible repair bills together. And then he goes and gets the more sensible purchase. I remember this, right?
Yep.
The sensible, non-needing
You were
repairs.
so close on the McLaren.
The dealership is available if he does have issues, right? It's the smart go. And then, yeah. I should have ended up at the dealership because I called one on the way home after buying my Mac, right? But I didn't take it to the dealership for any issues yet. And your pops did. And he has the
Yeah, that was
reliable
unique,
Mercedes.
yeah.
So it's just
That's
ironic.
funny how that ended up. But yeah, so he got the Mercedes. You got the McLaren the same weekend. So you guys are driving back roughly around the same time. You were coming from what, Philly?
I was coming from Philly.
Yeah, and then Chaz and I actually flew out that Friday morning to go pick up his new Porsche as well.
Pittsburgh. I can't remember.
It was Pittsburgh, yeah. It was Pittsburgh. Yep, yep, yep.
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
So we flew out to Detroit that morning. So everybody was driving back with their new cars that weekend.
Yeah.
So, three of the people that I talked to the most, especially at that time, it's
Yeah.
like...
It is kind of funny. We're all like, let's do it. Let's make ridiculous decisions.
And then that's the same weekend I drove Mark's GT500. So I got to drive a shit ton of cars that weekend because I got to. Or no, you didn't let me drive the Mac for like a month or two. I think.
Yeah, it took you a while to get in there. I was kind of closed off. I was like, I don't want anybody touching it because I wasn't sure, like if it was gonna have issues or the person
Well, you
driving
did have one
it.
issue with it on the way back.
Yeah. We wouldn't want to talk about that.
No, we're talking about how did you fix it?
No, but the point was that like I didn't want to blame anybody for it to have issues, so I didn't want to like give it to anybody to drive because then if it did have an issue,
Yep.
I'd be looking at that person like, yo, you fucked up my car, like
Well,
you gonna
especially
pay
a
that?
Mac, yeah.
Yeah. So if it had any problems, I wanted it to be on me. And that makes sense,
It's
right?
reasonable, especially when it's fresh.
Yeah.
And that thing's got the most mileage, I think, even more than the Porsche. And the Porsche's got some mileage to it. But that Mac's got, I think you bought it at, what, 29,000 miles?
27?
27, right.
27?
One owner, PPF.
Yeah.
PPF.
Oh, yeah. It has like 17 layers of PPF.
Dude, the video is so...
No, it's just one layer. But the guy says it's like 17 times in the video when he's trying to sell it to me.
Yeah, he was
So
trying to
it's
sell the
hilarious.
car off the PPF. Like, we watched the video, and he mentioned the PPF like 53 fucking times.
Yeah.
So
Danny
kind of
counted
like a
it.
joke.
It was legit 17 times in this like 2-minute video. It was dumb.
That's
But,
hilarious.
Yeah, and your pops got PPF, so everybody's got PPF.
Everybody's got PPF. Chaz has to be redone, if I remember correctly. I think they were talking about that. Because,
yellowing?
it's a 2011 car.
Yeah, because the UV breaks down the PPF, I think, eventually. So
Yeah, and the PPF did its job, protected the paint.
Yeah.
PPF's dead.
I'm thinking about doing a couple different pieces in mine, redoing a couple of different pieces. So.
Yeah. Oh, what about your wing? What did we decide for the end plates?
You know what? I was thinking about that on the way here. I figured you would chastise me for my wing on the way here. So I was prepared for this question. My response is I was thinking about it, and I keep looking at my car in the garage, right? That's the only thing I can do. And I go out and I look at it, and I've been debating going back to no wing.
Boring. Lame.
I have half a reason. When I look out my back window, I can't see dick. The wing is at the height, and it's thick,
Get new brackets. You should have known this from the beginning. That it was going to be in the way of your line sight. You're like, I wanted to go right with the roof.
Sorry, I didn't consult with the wing developers.
No. This is a Piero problem. We're going to text Piero after this.
But he asked me where I wanted it for height. I picked the height that I wanted it at because I didn't really want it above the roof, right?
I get it.
But I didn't want it real low to the body because then I'm like, what's the point, right? Well, it's window height. And the other thing I don't like about it is it's really thick.
It is a thick
Like if it's a
thick
thin wing, like you could probably see, but so now I can't see the popos,
That's why you're supposed to go faster than the popos. I'm confused. That's your reasoning?
Well, that and I just been looking at the body lines.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the body lines of the car are smooth and they flow and everything else, and the wing doesn't really. It looks like an afterthought, which it is. And so then I was like, oh, maybe I should just do an MSO wing.
You have options.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got all summer.
That's all. All summer. For now, the wing's on there. I'm going to deal with it. But
Just get some new end plates, see how you feel about it.
Yeah.
That's your last stab at keeping the wing. You can always get more brackets. I mean, could you go higher with the wing? Like an extra inch or two?
how did you get new brackets? You wave your hand like it's cheap, but it's not.
I told you to get a wing made for a McLaren.
Yeah.
That's the price of doing custom, big boy.
And then when you don't like it, it's even a bigger price tag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out. You're creative enough to make it work.
We'll send it to the crusher.
Or send it to the crusher.
Yeah. We have T minus 30 days.
To what?
If my Datsun Roadster is not at LJ's shop to start getting its engine put in, I say we crush it.
Yeah. Oh, Sean's got a tinkle now. No, so a little bit of hindsight or insight into this. So you've been working on that
3 years.
3 years on that fucking Datsun, one of the two Datsuns you have, and it's been one heartbreak after another.
Slowness.
Slow. Just constant letdowns, and regardless of which point in the process or whatever, who's
There's no single one thing. It's just like everything.
the whole process as a whole. It's not like one single person or one thing.
If
It's
somebody
just,
would have told me like that's how custom builds go on cars, I wouldn't have believed them. Which I think probably
3
people
years for
probably
a build,
did tell
yeah.
me. And I just ignored it. I was like, oh, I'll buy my way into building it faster, right?
Yeah.
Because the old adage of like you can either have it fast, good, or expensive or cheap or whatever. Fast, good, or cheap, right? Or you have two of the three, right? Well, mine's been expensive. It's been slow, and I just hope it's nice. Maybe I get one of my three, but it's not even built yet, so I probably won't even get that. So I'll probably have like slow, expensive, and shitty, and I'll just crush it.
you would be. I mean, it's a lot of people that have that issue when it comes to building stuff that custom. That's why a lot of people DIY it themselves too. Like that.
Yeah.
A lot of SEMA cars, like how many? I wonder how many of them actually go through shops, and how many of them are just shop cars built by the actual owners,
Yeah, I don't know.
right?
I just didn't have the garage or the lift. Or
That's actually a
anything,
good question, right? Like,
So-
of all the SEMA cars, and maybe somebody can answer this, like, how many of them are people, like, let's say you or I, that send it to a shop to be built, and then how many
versus shops
shops are presenting them themselves?
I don't know. 50-50?
I don't know, maybe. But yeah, you're right. Like, at a certain point, just crush the fucking thing.
Yeah, it's 30 days.
30 days. All right, we're coming up on the cutoff.
If the car's not painted, body not done, ready
Yeah.
to be implanted with a engine, we're going to crush a car. That'll be a fun podcast.
We could do that live.
We can do that live.
Can we live stream crushing
live stream
a
it, for
Datsun
sure.
that has way more invested in it than it'll ever be worth?
And the reason that, again, that got sped up, the timetable to crushing got sped up significantly, is you got the McLaren, and you're like, why would I ever build a car again?
Yep.
Right?
Fell in love with the Mac, and I was like, I don't even want any of these cars. I started thinking like, how about I just get rid of everything and just get one really nice car?
Yeah, you were the modified car guy.
Yeah.
Like the GTR was like power-wise, it was safe, but it was still modified. But you had bags and all this fun stuff. You had the Silvia, which was built to the gills.
Yeah.
Power, or I guess to be driven.
Yeah.
And then you're building the Ferrari truck, which is no longer going to be the Ferrari truck.
Yeah, Ferrari truck got slashed.
The engine won't fit, right?
You have to put $80,000 next to the engine to make the engine fit. That was the discussion with LJ. I was like, hey, L, all right, we got it staged in the truck, right? And we're like, all right, so what's all the fueling and the suspension and the air, everything? Like, what are we looking at price tag? Finish this project. And he was like 80. And I was like, there's no 1970s Datsun pickup truck that needs to have $80,000 thrown at it. So we terminated that. And we're turning the Ferrari engine into a coffee table. Ike is hard at work with that.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
It's a bummer that's not going to be the Rari truck anymore, but at the same time, it's like...
Actually, that reminds me, I have custom license plates for that truck that say .Rari. Which doesn't have anything Ferrari in it. It's gonna be. I'm gonna have to order new license plates that say "dumbass." I think that's 7 letters, right? Yeah.
Well, I think we should end it on that note.
All right.
I think we got a solid almost an hour and a half out of this bad boy.
Wow.
Way longer than we expected it to be. Plus, we had a few technical issues, unfortunately. So we'll see how much money I'm going to spend on that fix. But yeah, man, I think having you as a guest is wonderful, always. I mean, Sean, would you like to have him back?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you won't tell me to my face if you didn't want me to be back. So I mean, like, I'll accept that.
Well, you know where I live, so.
I do now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm stalking your ass. So. You gotta do.
Cool. Well, guys, stay tuned. A lot of cool, exciting stuff coming in the next week or two. And see you next time.